Hello, student. I, Dr. Shafali Jain, Assistant Professor at Thankar Mahavi University. Student, in this video, we discuss about Ricardian, Ricardo theory of income distribution. Ricardian theory of distribution was based on the marginal principle and surplus principle. The marginal principle is used to explain the share of rent, and the surplus principle focus on the distribution of residual parts of the value of production between wages and profit. In order to explain Ricardian model, the following assumptions need to be highlighted. Means, means, as you know, prediction is carried out by the collective efforts of land, labor, capital, and enterprise. These factors of prediction are combined in different productive activities. Prediction is carried out by the collective efforts, as you know, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurs. These factors of prediction are combined in different productive activities in different proportion. Therefore, their relative shares in the joint income are not the same in all areas of prediction. For example, land has a predominant role in agriculture, and the other factor which contributes no less than land to agriculture output is labor. So, remunerations of these factors of production are larger than those of other factors of production in agriculture. In industries, on the contrary, see, much capital has to be employed, and the entrepreneur performs a very useful. In fact, his contribution to output and industrial firm is generally quite substantial, while the role of land in industries is relatively secondary. Labor's contribution to industrial output is always large, as you know. These facts explain why the share of labor capital entrepreneur in the income of industrial units are large. So, to solve the problem of distribution, Ricardo's several theoretical models were developed to solve this principal problem of income distribution in this module. The first, the classical theory of or Ricardian theory of distribution is illustrated. That is followed to while how Marx developed his own theory of distribution based on Ricardian surplus theory. The analytical differences between these two theories are explained in the second part, are also explained in these videos. So, the Ricardian theory is based on certain assumptions, which are as given. First of all, supply of the land is fixed. Number two, because land supply is fixed, you can't increase and decrease the land. Okay, land is used for protection of crops, and the working force in agriculture has in determining the distributions in industry. Next, law of diminishing returns operates on land. Demand for crops is perfectly inelastic. Next, labor and capital are variable inputs. Next, capital consists of circulative capital. There is capital homogeneity. All workers are paid sustains wages. The state of technological knowledge is given. There is a perfect competition. Demand for labor depend upon accumulation of capital. Demand and supply price are marginal productivity of labor. The supply price of labor is given and constant. Capital accumulations result from profit. So, as you know, that Adam Smith and Ricardo were the most prominent economists of the classical school. These economics attempted to explain the prices of product in terms of so-called natural rates of rewards for labor, land, and capital. These natural rates of reward were explained by special theories. Even the leading classical economists didn't fully agree among themselves in explaining rent, wage, and interest and profit. In some cases, their differences were on substantial points. We shall confine here. only to what are considered and representative theories of the classical school for explaining rent. Ricardo theories consider most authentic. These are uh, uh, more authentic, and he is also focused the distribution of rent, wages, profit. So, as you see the assumptions of the theory, now I will also explain these assumptions. The capital accumulation can be reached by importing corn. It means the land is only used for producing corn and the supply of land is limited. But the import of corn leads to fall in the demand for labor, which deteriorates the economic conditions of laborers. On the other hand, landlord and capitalists do not think it fitted to import cheap corn from the foreign countries. As a result, their profit declined. The Garden theory has been tested with the help of this diagram. In this diagram, you can see the quantity of corn is measured along the vertical axis and the labor along the horizontal axis. Uh, sorry, it's a vertical axis where the corn is shown and the horizontal axis, the labor is shown. The curve AP, it means this curve AP represent average product of labor and this curve MP represent the marginal product of labor with OE amount of labor total production is OPQE. Okay, OPQE. It's a total production. Rent is shown by the rectangular PQML. Okay, PQML as difference because the rent is shows the difference between the AP and MP. It's a difference between AP and MP. This part is goes to in the rent at sustained wage rate OW. Sustained wage rate the labor can that labor can past his life. Okay, the supply curve is labor W at W at is the supply labor in infinity elastic and total is O, W and E. Okay, so total profits W it's a because its parts goes to in the rent, this parts goes into the wages and this parts WLM and WLMN this parts is total profit are the residue after deducting rent and wages from the total output. WLMN is equal to WLMN is equal to OPQE. OPQE. OPQE में से if LPQM. LPQM it's the parts of rent and OWNE is the parts of wages. So the so WLMN is the parts of profit. So I think you have to understood well because after deducting rent and wages, the surplus parts is goes to the profit. At state on rent, the most authentic theory in the classical framework has been provided by the David Ricardo, who is considered one of the foremost economists of the classical theory. What is rent? I have also defined it in the microeconomics. According to Ricardo, rent is the portion of the produce of the earth which is paid to the landlord for the original and intrinsic parts of the soil. So, uh, as we discuss in this theory, we can say theory of distribution is a specific matter of study of the theory of price, as the prices of product can be described with the help of the interactions of the demand and supply forces. Likewise, this distribution can also described by the determinations of prices of the factor, which are also explained with interactions of their demand and supply forces. But the important point to keep in mind is that in this theory distribution, we depict the prices of services rendered by the factors of production and not to factors of production. Uh, as you see in the theory, that service of such land capital entrepreneur states that rent is not the price of land, but the price of service or use the of land, and wages is the price of service of labor, and interest is the price of the use of capital, and profit is the reward of entrepreneur services. Hence, we can observe from the above mentions, we can observe in the diagram and in this theory that need for the theory of distribution comes due to the shortcoming of the theory of pricing. According to the classical theory of distribution, as we also studied, the prices of the service of the factor production are determined by the supply and demand force of such services as rent. As per the theory of rent, founded by Ricardo. Rent is the portion of the produce of earth, which is paid to landlord for the original and indestructible powers of soil. He use rent is the differential surplus and the subplots of the land and other over the above and the like we also give the parts in this diagram. You also see we in the production we also give the parts rent. First of all, where the differences between AP and MP is the parts of the this parts show the rent. The difference, so LPQM is the parts of the rent, and which is given to use the productive power and original and industrial power of the soil, just like a OW and E is a parts of wages. As per the theory of wages provided by many economics, land is sold in the market and its value is determined like the other commodities. According to Mills, the rate depend on the ratio of the workforce to amount of work capital. Just like profit, as per the value of commodity determined on the basis of service of labor used in it, and the entrepreneur how many what the skill used to earn the profit because and how much it takes. So I think you have to understood well that this parts in the OW and E is the wages and WELMN is the profit parts. Now we discuss in this theory the stationary state. When the economic development crosses the real wage rate remained at the subsistence level. Subsistence levels, this level uh, द जो लेबर है वो केवल इतना अर्न कर सकता है कि वो अपना जो निडेबल जो नीड्स है वो उसको पूरा कर सके निडेबल डिजायर्स को ओनली निडेबल डिजायर्स को पूरा कर सके जैसे food, clothes, and sandals. And profit tend to fall when the capital accumulation arises with increase in profit. Total output increases and increase with raises the demand for the corn and its prices as a I have with the increase in wages fund. Population increases as the wages increases, the more labor also come to do for the job. Population increases with raises and demand for corn and its prices. As population increases, inferior brand lands are also cultivated to meet increased demand for uh, meet increased demand of corn. Ricardo assumes that laborers and landlords spend all their incomes on consumptions and hence, since, as I also in his theory of rent, Ricardo realized on deductive reasoning. In his opinion, men must have cultivated the superior most quality land first, and until such a land was available, rent couldn't rice. But in any country, the best quality